Good morning. Hello. Happy Friday. Welcome to this episode of Questions for Jesus. I'm Matt with So Cincy. We're glad to have you. Later on, if you like what you hear and you like what you watch, please subscribe. We'd appreciate it. And like the video. That'd be cool. And then you can also, on YouTube, you can turn on notifications. And just know that every Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 7 a.m., roughly, I know it's 7:06 right now, we'll be live doing this. So you can catch it live, you can catch it on a replay, or you can get it later as an upload on podcasts, wherever you listen to podcasts, not wherever you listen to podcasts, only on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts, because those are the only podcast places I know. Or you can go to Anchor FM /So Cincy, and you can catch the podcast there. But we're back with another episode of Questions for Jesus, and which is funny because as I was doing this last night, I was like, this question is really familiar. This was the first question that we did. So this was 4 weeks ago, I think. And the question for today is, why are you interfering with me? And the reason why I'm doing this question again is because it's the question again. And this time it's coming from Mark 5, 1 through 20. So I'll be reading from the New Living Translation. But just know that it's the same kind of question. So we're going to go ahead and get right into it. This is Mark 5, 1 through 20, New Living Translation. And then I'll explain why it's the same question. So they arrived at the other side of the lake in the region of the Gerasenes when Jesus climbed out of the boat. A man possessed by an evil spirit came out from the tombs to meet him. This man lived in the burial caves and could no longer be restrained, even with a chain. Whenever he was put into chains and shackles, as he often was, he snapped the chains from his wrists and smashed the shackles. No one was strong enough to subdue him. Day and night he wandered among the burial caves and in the hills, howling and cutting himself with sharp stones. When Jesus was still some distance away, the man saw him, ran to meet him, and bowed low before him. With a shriek he screamed, "Why are you interfering with me, Jesus, Son of the Most High God? In the name of God, I beg you, don't torture me." For Jesus already said to the spirit, "Come out of the man, you evil spirit." Then Jesus demanded, "What is your name?" And he replied, "My name is Legion, because there are many of us inside this man." Then the evil spirits begged him again and again not to send them to some distant place. There happened to be a large herd of pigs feeding on the hillside nearby. "Send us into those pigs," the spirits begged. "Let us enter them." So Jesus gave them permission. The evil spirits came out of the man and entered the pigs, and the entire herd of about 2,000 pigs plunged down the steep hillside into the lake. And drowned in the water. The herdsmen fled to the nearby town and the surrounding countryside, spreading the news as they ran. People rushed out to see what had happened. A crowd soon gathered around Jesus, and they saw the man who had been possessed by the legion of demons. He was sitting there fully clothed and perfectly sane, and they were all afraid. Then those who had seen what happened told the others about the demon-possessed man and the pigs, and the crowd began pleading with Jesus to go away and leave them alone. As Jesus was getting into the boat, the man who was demon-possessed begged to go with him. But Jesus said, "No, go home to your family and tell them everything the Lord has done for you and how merciful he has been." So the man started off to visit the 10 towns of that region and began to proclaim the great things Jesus had done for him. Everyone was amazed at what he told them. So that is Mark 5, 1 through 20. And I do apologize that there's a little bit of a delay. We got some spam in the chat that I'm trying to get rid of, and I don't know how. So, oh well, that's okay. We'll delete it later. But the reason why I thought this was interesting, because I was looking for the next question last night, and I was like, I did this question before. And it turns out that I did this question with Mark 1. And so in Mark 1, you can either go back and watch that video. It's just, the title is just, "Why Are You Interfering With Me?" Or I think it's on the podcast. If not, I'll have to find it and see if I can upload it. It's in Mark 1:23, starting in verse 21. "Suddenly, Jesus and his companion went to the town of Capernaum. When the Sabbath day came, he went to the synagogue and began to teach. The people were amazed at his teaching, for he taught with real authority, quite unlike to teach the religious law. Suddenly a man in the synagogue who was possessed by an evil spirit cried out, 'Why are you interfering with us, Jesus of Nazareth? Have you come to destroy us? I know who you are, the Holy One of God.'" So take note of that. "Why are you interfering with us, Jesus of Nazareth? Have you come to destroy us? I know who you are, the Holy One of God." Versus Mark 5, where that question is, "Why are you interfering with me, Jesus, Son of the Most High God?" And then he says, "In the name of God, I beg you, don't torture me." Let's see if I can have a side by side, just so I can refer back to these two. But in Mark 5, he says, "Why are you interfering with me, Jesus, Son of the Most High God?" Versus Mark 1, where he calls him the Holy One of God. So the demons are referring to Jesus in both these things as special. The Holy One of God and Son of the Most High God. I don't know if there is anything important to that. I am not that smart. That would be a great question to ask someone that you know in your life who's really, really smart about the Bible. Hey, why did the demons say in Mark 1, why they call Jesus the Holy One of God? And then in Mark 5, Son of the Most High God. Is there any, like, I would be curious about that. What's the difference in those two names, those two labels, those two titles? Is there any significance to that? I would ask someone smart. I don't know who. So later on today, I'm gonna ask Kristen, because she's the smart cookie in the relationship. She has her master's in theology. I'm gonna ask her. I'll be like, "Hey, have you studied this? What is so special, or I don't know if that's the right word, but what is so significant?" That's what I was talking about. What is so significant between the demons saying Son of the Most High God or the Most Holy One of God? Is there anything different? The other thing I noticed is the way the second question, that is, or the second part of that question. Mark 1 was, "Have you come to destroy us?" And Mark 5 was, I lost it because it's not highlighted. Mark 5 is, in the name of God, I beg you, don't torture me, which is really interesting. I think I would ask the significance of that as well. Why did the demons plead in the name of God? That would be weird. That would be like a fascinating question that I would want to hear. Why is that? Why is that? Why is that significant? I tried looking this up last night if there was anything significant about that, and from what I had just researched, there wasn't anything that I had seen that was significant about Mark, or about the name of God. So I think that would be a really, really fascinating I think that'd be a really fascinating thing to learn about. Like these are demons, because he's not talking to the man. Let me pull this up for y'all so you can see it on cam. Like, he's not talking to the man, he's talking to the demons. They're the ones they call legion, because there are many. And so these are the evil spirits, the ones that are saying, like, well, actually, I would say he's talking to, because in 6 it says, when Jesus was still some distance away, the man saw him, ran to meet him, and bowed low before him. With a shriek, he screamed, "Why are you interfering with me?" But I think he's talking about the demons. I'm pretty sure. But what is it? Why do the demons ask, or why do the demons ask in the name of God to not be tortured? That would be my question. That's really, really, like, to me, that's really, really interesting. And then what else is going on in this? There's a ton of stuff. It's important. It's crucial to note that the man possessed by these evil spirits, like, he had supernatural strength, because he could know, like, he was possessed by the evil spirit, and he couldn't be restrained with a chain. Whenever he was put in the chains and shackles, as he often was, so the people of the town had to come up, or the people of the nearby village, or wherever they were at, they had to come up and they had to put him in chains and shackles, because he was probably dangerous. He was probably a danger to himself. I don't know if they knew what was going on. They just knew this dude was crazy. And so he was a danger to himself. He was a danger to those around him. But he had such supernatural strength by the demons that he was able to snap the chains from his wrist and smash the shackles. That's verse 4. And it also says no one was strong enough to subdue him. And then it says, day and night he wandered among the barrow caves in the hills, howling and cutting himself with sharp stones. So that would be the people in the village, probably close by, hearing this. And the torment, they know what's going on, probably. And just those actions alone probably caused stress to the town. And then they were probably also worried, is he going to come down here and hurt us? And so there were other people around. Verse 14, the herdsmen that were with the pigs fled to the nearby town. So the demons come out, they go into the pigs plunge down a steep hill into the lake and drown. The herdsmen see this, and they go to the nearby town and surrounding countryside, spreading the news as they ran. And people rushed out to see what had happened. In verse 15, a crowd soon gathered on Jesus, and they saw the man who had been possessed by the legion of demons sitting there fully clothed and perfectly sane, and they were all afraid, which is interesting. Interesting. Like, here's this dude was an utter psychopath, and they were probably afraid from it, and now he's absolutely subdued, sitting next to a guy that they don't know who this guy is. They don't know who. I'm assuming they don't know who Jesus was. Not at that moment. And their reaction isn't like, thank you for saving us. But their reaction is, dude, you gotta get out of here. Like, go away. And then it says, and leave them alone. Like, that's interesting. Like, that's just brutally, like, an interesting thing, because you would think you probably bring great relief to this poor village, and they're like, we don't want you here. Like, it's time for you to go, buddy. And then afterwards, the man says, like, I want to go with you. The man who had been demon-possessed begged to go with him. Verse 19, but Jesus said, no, go home to your family and tell them everything the Lord has done for you and how merciful he has been. And so what's he do? The man starts off to visit the 10 towns. What is the 10 towns? There's a little thing here. Decapolis. That's the Greek 520 Decapolis. I don't know if I'm saying that right. That's okay. Just kind of shoot for it. So he went to visit the 10 towns and began to proclaim the great things Jesus had done for him. And everyone was amazed at what he told them, which is just wonderful. And it's so interesting. So here's how I want to apply this for us today. I started reading Colossians. Oh, this is good. This is coming to my mind. I got this today. I did not prepare this. This is just freestyle. I started reading Colossians. The whole month of December, I'm going to be reading Colossians. So if you want to join us, there's going to be a video on it later. I'm reading Colossians. It's only 4 chapters. So I'm taking my time and I'm just reading through it for the next 30 days from December 1 through December 30th. So today will be day 2. At the end of Colossians, Paul writes to the church at Colossae, remember my chains. And so I believe Paul is writing this while in prison. And he's encouraging the Colossian church. I don't know. I think it's Colossae. I could be saying that completely wrong. But he's encouraging them. And he says all this stuff. And I can't remember what all is in Colossians, but I'm quickly learning that I think Colossians is going to be my favorite book of the Bible. Because it's just a beautiful book. And it's just real life, right? Like these are not Bible believing. These are Jesus followers with the new church that had been planted by him and Timothy. And it's just like, here's how life is going for you. Remember what Jesus has done. There's some really good, quick, simple, easy theology in there about the resurrection and all that. And he ends in verse 18 by saying, "Here is my greeting in my own handwriting. Paul, remember my chains. May God's grace be with you." That wraps up the book of Colossians. And I think it's so fitting to look at Mark 5 and the demon-possessed man. And he goes and proclaims the great things Jesus had done for him. And everyone was amazed. Why? Because he is remembering his chains. Because this was a demon-possessed man that was put in chains and shackles. He was uncontrollable. And so when you talk to people about Jesus, I highly recommend you go watch this video. There was a live stream done on the No Jumper podcast. One of my favorite YouTube creatives, Ruslan, does a lot of Christian cultural stuff, things like that. I'll try to put this in the description of the video in the podcast. I'll try to link it. But he goes on to this podcast, and it's not a Christian podcast. So just be warned. There's a lot of cussing, a lot of explicit content, much more than Wednesday's video. But Ruslan's a Christian. He goes into quote unquote the lion's den against a guy who's a self-proclaimed atheist, another guy who doesn't believe. Not really friendly to the gospel, very, very hostile to the gospel, but he presents a lot of different things. A lot of different, what do you call it? A lot of different reasons to believe in Jesus and stuff like that. And so he gives some archaeological evidence, but then he talks very briefly, and he doesn't use it a lot. But he talks about what God has done in his own personal life. And so I would encourage you all to share your story with someone today who could use some encouragement, and talk about what Jesus has brought you through. Remember your chains, whatever they may have been. They can be small chains, they can be big chains. They can be gold chains, they can be shackles. And how has Jesus brought you through? Remember my chains. It's a great thing to focus on when it comes to talking about Jesus. But that does it for this episode. So if you liked it, leave a like on the stream. If you're catching this in the replay, awesome. Welcome. If you want to hear more about this, subscribe to the channel. We love you. Let's go Quips. They got a big game today playing for Whip Eels. Or no, not Whip Eels. They're playing for the semifinals to go to state. If they win, they go to state championship game. So that's pretty cool. So good luck to them. May they go out there and bust that team up 90 to nothing. Quips by 90. There you go. You can follow us everywhere on social media. You can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, all at SoCincy. Check us out at SoCincy.com for more if you want to hear more information about us. But we love you. Hope you have a great weekend. Happy December. This year is almost done. Holy crap. Love you. Have a good one. We'll see you.